I was reminded of Stephen this past week. Stephen in the Bible. He was the first martyr after Jesus left this earth. He was the first one to die for Jesus. And Stephen was a regular guy, just like me and you folks. He wasn't a disciple. He wasn't an apostle. He was a deacon. He worked in the early church. And Stephen was full of the Spirit. He was wise. He was knowledgeable. He was just full of Jesus. When people saw his face, they said he had the face of an angel. And Stephen would go and he would debate with people. He would engage in public discourse. And because he was such a great debater, he won so many souls for Jesus. So much so that the Sanhedrin began to view him as a threat. So they brought him in for questioning. And when Stephen was brought in by the high priests, he laid out the whole gospel to them, starting from the very beginning, starting with Abraham, going to Moses, going all the way to Jesus. He laid out the gospel to them, and he wasn't afraid to point out their faults as leaders. He told them to their faces, "You are a stiff-necked people. You're just like your ancestors. You reject the words of God. You rejected God himself by crucifying him." And they didn't like that. But it was the truth. And Stephen was unafraid to say it. And he died for his faith, folks. But as a result of Stephen's death, the gospel grew louder and bigger. And there was a shaking in the body of Christ. There was a turning point. And the people who saw what happened to Stephen became bold as a lion. And they went out forth into other areas and spread the gospel. And it allowed the message of Jesus to get out to even more and more people. And even though Christians were being killed, people were being persecuted, Stephen had just been stoned, the gospel message was getting louder and bigger and bigger and bigger, leading up to this very day, folks. And what happened this past week with Charlie Kirk will only allow the message of Jesus, it'll only allow the gospel to get bigger and bigger and bigger and louder and louder and louder. But it starts with you, folks. It starts with the church. This is the turning point for the body of Christ. Go out forth and do what you were called to do. Be the light. Spread the truth and love, love, love.